haunting. The Lutz family, consisting of George, Kathy, and their 3 young children, were excited about their new beginning. They had recently made a decision that would change their lives forever: the purchase of a grand, sprawling house in the peaceful town of Amityville, New York. This house, a stunning Dutch colonial with a picturesque facade, seemed like a dream come true, especially considering the surprisingly low price. As they approached the house for the first time in December 1975, the family couldn't help but admire its beauty. The house had a charming gambrel roof, large windows, and a cozy, welcoming feel to it. It appeared to be the perfect place to raise their children. However, there were whispers in the town, and even amongst their friends, about the house's dark and troubling history. The Lutz family had heard about the DeFeo murders, a gruesome event that had taken place just over a year ago, on November 13th, 1974. Ronald DeFeo Jr., the son of the previous homeowners, had murdered 6 members of his family in that very house. He was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 6 consecutive terms of 25 years to life in prison in November 1975. The tragedy had cast a dark shadow over the property, and many locals believed that the house was cursed. Despite the unsettling history, the Lutz family decided to move forward with their plans of buying the house that was considered to be a bargain price of $80,000. George had always dreamed of owning a house like this, and the price was undeniably too tempting to resist. They also believed that they could bring happiness and warmth back to the house, erasing its grim past. Their move-in day was filled with excitement. The children explored their new rooms, and Kathy couldn't help but envision the happy family moments they would share in this beautiful home. For a while, everything seemed perfect, and the Lutz family couldn't be happier with their decision. Little did they know that the house held secrets far more chilling than they could have ever imagined, and their dream home would soon turn into a nightmare. The Lutz family's initial excitement about their new home in Amityville began to wane as strange and unsettling events started to unfold. It was only a matter of days after moving in that the first signs of something amiss became apparent. The temperature in certain rooms of the house would inexplicably drop to bone-chilling levels, even when the heating system was working perfectly. George, who had been so enthusiastic about the house, found himself growing increasingly uneasy. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone, that there was a presence lurking in the shadows. Mysterious noises became a nightly occurrence. At first, it was just the occasional creak or thud that could be attributed to an old house settling, but soon, it escalated to something far more sinister. Loud, unexplained banging would echo through the halls, and the children would wake up in the middle of the night, frightened by the sounds they couldn't place. Even more disturbing was the persistent odor that permeated the house. A nauseating stench, reminiscent of rotting flesh, would waft through various rooms without any apparent source. Kathy, struggling to maintain a sense of normalcy for the children, began to lose sleep, her nerves fraying with each passing day. But perhaps the most troubling change was in George himself. The jovial and optimistic man who had been so eager to start a new life in Amityville was becoming increasingly irritable and withdrawn. He was plagued by a sense of dread he couldn't explain, and his temper flared over the smallest of things. His behavior, which had once been a source of stability for the family, was now erratic and unpredictable. The children, too, were affected. They began talking about new friends they had made in the house, friends who were invisible to everyone but them. Innocent at first, it soon became clear that these friends were something far from imaginary. The children would have hushed conversations in their rooms, speaking to entities that frightened them as much as they intrigued them. As the days turned into weeks, it was becoming impossible for the Lutz family to deny that something was terribly wrong with their new home. The sense of unease that had settled over the house was like a heavy shroud, suffocating their hopes and dreams of a peaceful life in Amityville. The Lutz family's once idyllic home in Amityville had transformed into a house of horrors. Eventually, George, who had once been the pillar of strength and stability, was now a man unraveling before their eyes. His nightmares had grown more vivid and harrowing. In his sleep, he would encounter grotesque and demonic figures, tormenting him and threatening his family. These nightmares left him drenched in cold sweat and in a perpetual state of exhaustion. Desperate for help, Kathy reached out to their local priest, Father Delaney. She hoped that a blessing of the house would provide some relief from the relentless onslaught of supernatural phenomena. However, when Father Delaney attempted to perform the blessing, he was met with an unseen malevolent force that sent him reeling. The power that emanated from the house was far beyond anything he had encountered, and he warned the Lutz family to leave the house immediately. But the Lutz family was trapped, both financially and emotionally. They had invested nearly all their resources into the house and were reluctant to abandon it. Instead, they sought guidance from paranormal experts and investigators, hoping to understand the source of the malevolent presence that had taken hold of their home. As they delved deeper into the history of the house, they uncovered disturbing facts that added to their growing unease. The DeFeo murders, which had occurred in the same house just a year earlier, cast an even darker shadow over their situation. Ronald had claimed that he was driven to commit the murders by malevolent voices in the house, voices that urged him to kill his family. Paranormal experts conducted investigations within the house, using tools to detect anomalies and attempting to communicate with any spirits present. Their findings only confirmed the family's worst fears. The house was a focal point of supernatural activity, and the entities that resided within its walls were not friendly. Lutz family's ordeal in the Amityville house had reached a breaking point. The unrelenting paranormal activity and malevolent forces had left them in a constant state of terror, and they could no longer deny the need to escape the nightmare that had consumed their lives. On day 28, they decided to leave the Amityville due to a combination of factors, including their claims of experiencing supernatural and terrifying events. The family claimed that they experienced a significant decline in their mental and emotional well-being while living in the house. They reported feelings of dread, anxiety, and paranoia that became overwhelming. The Lutz family also claimed to have experienced physical ailments and health problems during their time in the house, such as sickness and sleep disturbances. George Lutz claimed, as well, that he saw a demonic entity with red eyes in the home's fireplace, which he interpreted as a manifestation of evil. The cumulative effect of these experiences left the Lutz family feeling unsafe and convinced that they were in grave danger. They believed that whatever was happening in the house posed a serious threat to their lives. The couple, their kids, and their dog Harry abruptly leave the Amityville house in late January 1976, abandoning most of their belongings behind and did not return to the house. Their story became the basis for the book The Amityville Horror by Jay Anson, which was published after Tam Mossman, an editor at the publishing house Prentice Hall, introduced George and Kathy to the author. The Lutzes did not directly collaborate with Anson on the writing of the book, but they provided him with approximately 45 hours of tape-recorded recollections of their experiences while living in the Amityville house. These recordings served as the basis for the book. The Amityville Horror book was published in 1977 and became a bestseller, gaining significant attention for its chilling account of paranormal events allegedly experienced by the Lutz family in the Amityville house. Estimates of the book's sales are around 10 million copies from its numerous editions, making it one of the most widely read and recognized books in the genre of paranormal and supernatural accounts. The book's success also led to a series of movies and a lasting legacy surrounding the Amityville haunting story, despite ongoing skepticism and controversy regarding the veracity of the claims made by the Lutz family. With that, we have come to the end of our video. Please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. This has been saying, see you next time.